We took a group of 29 students to Ghana, and we spent a week on campus at the University of Ghana in Legon, and we worked with an institute there called the Regional Institute for Population Studies. And I think that the students accomplished a lot in a very short space of time.
Getting to do this trip meant that everybody could sort of try out different aspects of the research process and research methods to see what would suit them and what they would like to do for their dissertation. So for me, the qualitative interviewing part of the trip, where we got to go to the University of Ghana in Accra and conduct our own qualitative interviews with some students there, that was really beneficial for me because I got to sort of have a practice run at doing qualitative interviews.
We think it's really important for our students to go on a field trip because they spend the first year and a half of their degrees learning about research methods in a classroom context. So they read about how research methods work from books, and they learn from lectures and from classroom discussions, but they don't get any chance to see the practical application of research methods in the field. We take the students to a context which is socially and culturally very different from their own. And we do that specifically in order to illustrate to them how the socioeconomic and sociocultural context in which you're doing research impacts on the research process itself and how that can impact on the results of your research. So they have an opportunity not just to be tourists and not just to go and tour around and look at things, but to actually participate in some of the work that's going on. And I think that's actually a really unique opportunity that they were able to take part in real field research in that way.
On one of the days we visited a social enterprise called Trashy Bags, and they collect environmental waste from around the city, for example plastic objects and scraps from factories, and make products which would be desirable to anyone. For example, I brought a rucksack, people brought laptop cases and things which we could use every day when we're back in the UK.
The visit to the slum was really eye-opening because it's not something we've experienced before. The primary focus was on the research techniques behind collecting the data. The main thing that sort of struck me was just how different it is living in the poorer areas of Accra compared to how I live at home. For example, there were open sewers and there's animals wandering through the streets, and it's just the overall feel is quite alien to us, but at the same time we didn't feel uncomfortable being there. We visited an orphanage. They put on a performance for us of some sort of traditional dancing. They showed us what it's like to live where they do in Potter's Village, which is run primarily by a local church. And then we had an afternoon football game against the older boys who were there.
We also took a trip on the weekend to Cape Coast, which is a town along the south coast of Ghana, and the students got a chance to relax and spend a few hours at the beach. And Cape Coast is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it has the Cape Coast Castle. It was a fort built by the Dutch and a former slaving post, and there's a really interesting museum, so the students really enjoyed getting out of the capital city and seeing a bit of the coast and going to see some of the really important heritage of the area.
Well, my favourite souvenir that I got from the trip is this skirt, which I spotted one of our the guest lecturers there. She was wearing it, and so I got chatting to her and she offered to get her sister to make me one. I think that West Africa is such an interesting location in the world, and it's really wonderful to have the chance to be there, and I don't think a young person like me would normally have the chance or the money to be able to get there without the help of the university.
The whole trip was really fun. We never felt uncomfortable, we were always happy, the locals were really friendly, and the work we were doing there was really interesting, so overall I'd say it was a brilliant experience.